All right, all right, all right. And we welcome you in, guys. Make sure everything's up. Make sure everything is running. We good? Bet. All right. So we're good to go. And we're locked and loaded, and we welcome you in to a really, really fast acting week 6 version of Catching Up with Coach. And I just wanted to make sure that everybody here is aware. It is just going to be your boy tonight. Russo is actually with some family. Nothing happened. Just hanging out with family, doing his thing. I'm back in town from a short, but kind of feels long work trip. You'll ever do one of those kind of late week trips, and then you get back in the middle of the week? Because I spent pretty much the entire day until about 2:45 thinking that it was Monday. So that wasn't great. Didn't love that. But you know what? We're locked and loaded. And so a couple of things that I just wanted to get to. Certainly right out of the gate, we're going to go ahead and mention the devastation that's going on, not only in parts of Tennessee, but also obviously North Carolina. All of the affected areas, our thoughts and prayers are with you and your families. It is certainly not, missed on us here at the 4th and 1 pod that people are going through a very, very difficult time right now, catastrophic time even. And it's going to take not only a village, but it's going to take all of us to come through and help support each other. And it's pretty sad considering that, we're obviously streaming here live from the great state of Louisiana, that we have to be the ones to, reach out and, just lend a helping hand in any way that you can. It's super, super devastating and super sad. But with that being said, on the less somber things, I'm super excited about this. This is obviously a bye week for some people. Of course, the team that plays down the street, and but that has absolutely no bearing on the fact that we've got what I would say probably 5 or 6 really, really good football games to talk about rather. But the one that we're not going to spend any more time on this show without talking about the fact that that Georgia Alabama game was stupid. Shout out to my dog Gray. I told him that it was going to be like that. I told him that it was going to be a game in which no real team was going to dominate for 4 quarters. And I really, really kind of had my thoughts and doubts in the first half. It looked like Alabama was just going to wipe the floor with them. But the fact that they came back, that Georgia came back the way that they did just to lose again was just such a – we mentioned it here on the show. If Kalen DeBoer was going to get that signature win, this was his time to do it. I said on the show that I felt like it felt like they could do it, and I wouldn't be shocked. I did not predict them to win, so I obviously didn't call it, but it felt like when we talked in the show, it felt like that. Something else that I'll tell you, I'm not fully sold on, this Georgia team being so dominant, and I kind of said that in the beginning of the season whenever Russo was on one end, I was on the other, and we're typically pretty aligned on stuff, but Roos wanted to make the prediction, and he even did, I believe, on the show that Georgia was going to go undefeated. They were going undefeated, and I just didn't see it. There was just so many different teams that they had to play in order to make that happen, and I just couldn't get there because there's so many things that do have to happen in order for you to go undefeated. You have to have what I would consider, unless you're 2019 LSU, a easier to navigate schedule. Whether it's front loaded or back loaded, whatever the case may be, I think that there has to be something like that has to be a happenstance. Like you don't just motor your way through a really, really difficult schedule without coming unscathed, or at least getting close to dropping one. And it just felt like Georgia really wasn't going to have that it factor at some point in the season, whether it was going to be, Bama or Tennessee or whatever the case may be. I would have probably predicted maybe Tennessee. more than anything. And at the beginning of the season, I was obviously one of those people that didn't really mention Tennessee in my top 5 SEC teams, and that's certainly on me for not acknowledging them clearly. I needed to see Nico do it, bro, and I mean, he's a dog. He's like 9'3", and he's a dog. But Georgia obviously is now going to get Auburn at the crib, and this game's set at 22. I don't love that. A get right game for Georgia is not a spot that I want my home team to be in. So I would say if anything, bet the over at 51.5. That feels like they can smash that. I know that Auburn likes to keep these games kind of close, but I just have a feeling that Georgia is going to smack them around. I don't see Georgia losing 2 games in a row, and I certainly don't see them, playing with their food. And again, I could be wrong, but I think I don't. I think I would stay away from those points, though, even though it's 22. Like, it feels doable, but there's the hook in there that I don't like. If this was maybe a 16.5 or a 17, I'd maybe say take that, but 22 is quite a bit. But I would take over on the 51.5 if I had to go over there today. So I'll go ahead and write that down as the first little look-see. And the next one that I really wanted to talk about, which is a little bit different in a way. I'm not entirely sure that everybody was watching it so closely. But if you ended up kind of watching towards the end, you probably were. Ole Miss in Kentucky. Shout out Kay Kelly. I mean, look, if there was ever a time to be a UK fan, it's for that. That was the classic. We talked about this. This was the classic. The better team is going to be losing the whole game and then find a way to lose in the end. And it felt like they were going to find a way to lose. And I thought that Kentucky was going to choke the game. Like it felt like something stupid was going to happen to ruin that game. And they didn't. They ended up winning. They beat Lane Kiffin. And I now feel similarly to Georgia losing that I do with Ole Miss losing, because now you have Ole Miss going to obviously South Carolina. And if there's anything that these people want right now, and I mean anything, it's to win a football game. I mean, there's a lot happening over there in California, in Carolina. I think that there's an immense amount of things going on in people's lives right now, where if you're a fan that can make it to the game, if you're a fan that can find a way to watch the game, if you're a fan that has any sort of rooting interest in watching this, you find yourself kind of always pulling for the underdog in a way. But you would pull for a team like this. Like you would pull for a team like this if you were an unbiased person. I, however, would like to watch this game from a non-biased situation. However, with 9 points, I mean, I don't hate it if you want to take USC. Listen, South Carolina is going to have Lenore Sellers playing in this game, and if Lenore Sellers plays in this game, I think they keep it close. I think it's within a touchdown. This being a 9-point game is weird to me, because South Carolina has not looked bad enough for you to give me like that. Like that feels like a he might not be 100% type spread. If it's Robbie Ashford, I would take Ole Miss in the points, just because I feel like he's just not quite, rooted in that offense. I really like South Carolina in the points. It's 270 on the money line. I don't love that. I think Ole Miss will win. I don't think that they'll cover. 53.5 points feels like a lot to me. I'm not really sure that I love that. But I would take South Carolina in the points right now, and I'd buy it up to 10 if you want. Go ahead and write that one down as well. And I don't really think that there should be too much pushback on that. I think for the most part, if you're going to be honest with yourselves, you're going to say that you looked at that game and you thought with all of your heart that Ole Miss was the better team and they were just playing badly. Kentucky literally did this with Georgia. I've been finding a way to lose these kind of close games for however many years that he's been there now. I mean, this is the kind of game that you kind of expected them to lose, and they didn't. So shout out to them dogs, bro. I mean, they're like that. I mean, a shout out to them. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna take South Carolina in the points. Like and subscribe, by the way. Just wrote a note to myself to do that. I just want to let everybody know that even in like wake of like Thursday Night Football and other podcasts going on, like the ones that choose to come here, whether it's live, whether you guys come back, backtrack, watch the show, it means a whole lot. We look forward to this during the week. Obviously, this is something that, we feel super, super passionate about. So anything that you can do, a like and subscribe would be great. We're trying to, build this up. Obviously, we're not, we have things that we do full time, but anything you can do to help build us up would be greatly, greatly appreciated. And we certainly would, love for you to do that, because I mean, I like us, but I'm biased. You know what I mean? I'm just playing. Not really, though. Going into the third game of the weekend, where I'm going to go Mizzou at Texas A&M. I don't hate Mizzou here. I don't. 48.5 points feels like a weird number to me, though. It's an 11 a.m. kick, but Mizzou plays rather well in the 11 a.m. kicks. I don't know that I've seen Mizzou go on the road to Kyle Field, though, so I'm not necessarily sure why the 2.5 is going on right there. That seems kind of like it would be more of a, like a pick 'em, or maybe even like a complete other direction, like a 4. Oh, 2.5's weird. I don't mind it though. Give me all the ones that I'll take. I'll take Mizzou. I'll take the Mizzou money line, but I would, if I really want to get weird, but I'll take Mizzou to cover. I'm not really sure that I love this Texas A&M brand of ball. I think Arkansas gave them absolutely everything that they wanted. That's not really to say that there should be, any like hesitancy if you're, Texas A&M, because I feel like everybody has kind of been getting played tough by Arkansas. Arkansas does that. But I do want to just say that if you're going to go into a game like this at 11 a.m., if you don't get up on them early, then Mizzou's going to find a way. They're going to find a way to stay in the game. They're going to find a way to make it, hard for you to create success for yourself. And so if you're going to play at Kyle Field at 11 a.m., they're going to have the overalls hot and bothered and ready to rock. But give me Mizzou in the points. I may change that pick depending on if there's any injuries that come out, if I evaluate that differently. But if I had to go ahead and pick that today and lock that number in, I would go ahead and take Mizzou and 2.5. And y'all know that I like round numbers, so it's weird to see that 2.5. But that gets into what I think might be the best game of the day. Maybe. Tennessee goes to Arkansas. When is the last time that Arkansas had like this much confidence in folks coming off the edge for them? Arkansas can make this game suck for Tennessee. Truthfully, they could make this game suck. If you're going to be arrogant enough to bet Tennessee in the points, I would strongly advise you to go and look at the record of teams like this in this moment and what the common opponents were, and and who covered what and when they covered, and where on the road they covered. I don't know the last time I've seen Tennessee on the road at Arkansas in a sleepy environment like that. Like, you go to Arkansas because you hope to God that you're not going to get, run out of town. Everybody's going to be, relatively nice, but it's usually cold. It's usually like dreadfully cold. And you end up in a dogfight and fighting for your life and winning by 3. Like, that's an Arkansas game for a lot of people. 13.5. 2 tuds. Nico is a witch. That's a death taxes and Nico being a witch. Sorry. I don't hate 13.5 though for Arkansas. Will I make that pick? We will find out probably Friday night or Saturday morning. But that's a weird number for me. I'm not really comfortable. I'm not really comfortable with that. And I'll tell you why. If you've ever played a line like this before and then you didn't watch the game, you would see that this is the kind of game where you can expect Arkansas to like go up by 10. You feel me? And like a weird game, like go up by 10, get a pick, fumble recovery, steal a possession, score. I mean, hell, they tried to fake like 2 punts last week, successful on one of them. This just kind of feels like the game where Arkansas would make it hard for you to cover your score. They always do. I don't love 13.5 right there. I mean, Tennessee's rolling. I'm with you on that. But I don't hate that. Interesting. I don't even know how to like write that down, but I don't hate it. And one of the other ones that I wanted to talk about briefly, because I think this is getting played up, is Miami at Cal. Listen, Marshawn was our thumbnail. I don't think that Cal is going to have a home environment that's going to make Miami like stressed. I just don't see Miami as this like dominant, I don't see Miami as this dominant team. I also don't think that Auburn was that great. So that win for Cal doesn't like, ooh. But I don't know why this would be a 10-point spread. I mean, the money line for Cal is at 320. That feels like about right. 10 does not. 10 doesn't. That it feels more like 7 to me. And maybe I'm tripping, like maybe I'm being biased, but I don't. It's also getting played at 9:30 at night, so I really don't think that I would play it. I also don't think that I would love it. I don't know. Leave me a comment on what y'all think on that one. Leave me a comment on what you would think about that one. But we're going to get into the topic that everybody's been clamoring for back here next to the home team. We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about LSU. Okay. I'm not really even sure how to say this without getting pissed off. Because I know that I'm going to. It's just a matter of like, how hot am I going to get? So just let me like. If I see one more football game in which players are being used at less than advantageous positions on the football field, I am going to freak out. I am going to freak out. If I see one more defensive drive where everything is done right, except for one person that doesn't know what's happening, I'm going to cry. If you are on the field and you don't know what's happening, ask someone. Get out. Like, it is the gaffes for me. And it's not these huge ones. It's these like little run fits that you kind of saw earlier in the year that LSU has stopped. But if I have to watch one more confused defensive back, and I'm talking about safeties here, it's not that they're not good. They can play. It is just the focus on the technicalities of it. It just looks that way. I could be completely wrong. They could think that they are in the right spot, but they're actually in the wrong spot and they're just not in position. But dog, it's like it is impossible. It is impossible that you can tell me that 8 needs to be at free safety. It is impossible. There's no way. There is no way that you can tell me that 8 needs to be at free safety. Listen, I love him. I think he's funny. Dude, if there's anybody on my team that I want, it's the one that the teammate that you want to be around. He makes you laugh. He makes you feel like that's your brother. Like you want him to be around you and your family for as long as you live. Like that's the kind of teammate that I want. But dog, BK, he doesn't need to be at free safety. He is around the line of scrimmage, running sideline to sideline is what he can do. He can run. It's the cover. It's the, you know what I'm saying? Like it's the cover part. Son, like stop making him do that. Like in the SEC press conference of the week, BK's talking about JV and Toviano going and playing the star and moving Major Burns back to safety if need be. So what I hope he's saying is that Major Burns is going to stay at the star and JV and Toviano is also going to play the star, and we're going to leave the safeties to the people that need to be playing safeties. I hope that that's what we're doing, because if that's not what we're doing, I'm going to cuss. And I've been out of town for the last 2 weeks, so I haven't been to church in 2 weeks now. And I'm feeling like a not great Christian. And I really need that to not be what we're doing, or I'm going to freak out because you know more football than anyone else in the building as the head coach. But that feels tone deaf to me. Like that, I must be misinterpreting that. And I think he's trolling. He has to be trolling and has to be a troll, because there's just no way that you can tell me that you are putting him in his best position to succeed by putting him at free safety. There just isn't a way. There's just not one. I'm sorry. Moving on from that, I would like to give shout out to Caden Durham, who, by the way, was nowhere on anybody's radar. There is not one person that you could point to me that said that he was going to bust out like that this year. Bust out long time, but long term, but not right now. He has given you the breath of fresh air that you have not had. Like if you are going to be a running team, then you need to have a couple of them. But if you just want to be a balanced team, then you got to have a great one and a competent one. And right now you've got that with Caden and Josh. As we watch Caleb get his bearings, Caden Durham, first snap to the house, second snap to the house. And it's like, where was that? Like where was that home run play a year ago? And it's because you just didn't have a speed back, and that's really what it came down to. You didn't have bad backs by any means. In fact, you had like 13 of them. John Emery gave you the slash and vision that you wanted because he's been playing college football for quite some time. But as a freshman, someone that can hit a hole like that and see green and go, I have to see 15, 20 touches from Caden Durham from here on in. It doesn't matter what the game is. From here on in, I have to see 15, 20 touches from Caden Durham a game. I have to. If you're going to be the team that you want to be, Garrett has to keep toting that thing, and Caden has to keep getting touches. Do not force the ball to one specific receiver if other ones are open. Aaron Anderson has obviously proven to you that he has obviously sold his soul to somebody to get his body right, to stay up here and active for you, to get you first downs and touchdowns. But if they're going to double Kyron, or if they're going to play hard press on Kyron and he's not out of his break, throw it to Aaron. Throw it to CJ. Maybe at some point before we die, they'll give Chris a chance to play to get back in the game. I really don't know what's happening with that, but we're all wanting the deep vertical threat. I mean, is Avion Thomas not fast? Is Aaron Anderson not fast? He's not Chris Hilton fast, but I mean, I like what I'm seeing from Aaron Anderson, y'all. I do. I do. I think he gives you a little bit of something different. And there was a couple of plays where he just got the ball in his hands and it looked like he was supposed to be tackled there and it was 13 yards further up. Like, that's what this team has been needing from plays in space without Malik, without BT. That is what you need. And it's for those reasons that I think that you'll have a chance to be successful, next week whenever Ole Miss comes to the crib. I'm not predicting a win. I'm not ready to predict that game yet. But what I am saying is that you've needed that, and you've needed it in a big way. And so if you're going to be successful, you're going to have to be as successful as Garrett will allow you to be, and as successful as Joe Sloan and Cortez Hankton will be with giving Caden Durham the ball, because I think that he has to have the ball 15 to 20 times a game if that's going to be the production that I'm getting when he gets it rather. Some dislocated toes, nothing crazy, nothing silly. Stay off of them. Relax, kid. Eat your peanut butter. Go home and get your 8 hours. Just chill. And that's kind of like where I'm at with LSU right now. Is this a 9-win football team? Probably, maybe. 8 would feel really, really bad. 9 would be underwhelming. 10 would feel crazy. There are losable games left. Several, in fact. But Caden's got to get the ball, and you have to continue to establish the run, and you have to continue to try to be successful in both running and passing. I think you're getting great play out of your edge. I think your D-line is playing head and shoulders above what anybody thought that they would be. As soon as you can get Zai back right and like fully healthy and right, I think you've got options at corner. I think you got 3 that can play. I like what I'm seeing from the young fellas. Witt's obviously going to run all around. West probably needs a little bit more time to get acclimated to playing a full game. I would like to see Kalaj Cobbins if he can run, maybe at OLB. If you want to maybe put him in that linebacker mix, he's more of a DN than anything else. But I mean, Swinson is obviously playing out of his mind. The whole D line, I have no complaints really with them right now compared to what we all thought they were going to do, and with the injuries that obviously they've got. But I feel better, but I'm just sweating and stressed the whole game. Like every game. We were at the restaurant and I was sweating watching us play South Alabama. So be consistent in what you can be consistent at, and that's getting your playmakers the ball in space. And that is the note. We are certainly going to talk about this possibly more than once next week, just depending on what the schedule looks like, just to try to make up for it. There's a big, massive weekend of college football next weekend, and I don't really know that one episode can cover it, and if so, it might end up just being a long one. But we are going to put a bow on that. And again, thank you everybody for watching us and for liking and subscribing and for supporting us and sending texts. And the kind words have been fantastic and great. I'm super, super privileged to be here, and I'm super blessed to have the opportunity to talk to you guys about a sport that I love, which is obviously college football, the greatest game of all time. In the meantime, we can go all watch the Sunday game, or I guess the Thursday game, here tonight. I have got recently into watching Lost. I've never watched that show before. For anybody that watches this, please reach out to me and tell me if you've watched Lost before and if I'm about to get into some wild mess, because y'all, I just started watching it and I can't stop. I can't stop. It came out many years ago. Last episode was in like 2010, and I'm like captivated. I literally can't stop. I've told all of my coworkers this last week for our work trip. I can't stop watching it. It's nuts. But obviously not more important to me than college football. But that's kind of like my second thing right now in my spare time when I have some. Not very much, but some. But that's it. And I appreciate it. Thank you guys for shouting us out, obviously in the comments and showing us some love. Tune in, obviously, for picks, whether they're Friday night or Saturday morning. We will see. and that's going to put a button on us, and we are going to wrap this one up. Peace and love, y'all.